The Walt Disney Company is committing $60 billion on what they describe as a turbocharging effort to reinvigorate their parks division with a myriad of investments spanning across the globe. But one in particular, Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, is taking center stage as the company focuses on its flagship destination theme park. However, one of its original and most iconic bodies of water might not be flowing in the near future. Let's talk about that on That Park Place Podcasts Online, or as we like to call it, T3PO.
As you all know, the Walt Disney Company is trying to move that stock price to the best of their ability. And one of the most amazing rumors that's going around is that they will be maybe getting rid of, maybe changing a major part of a Walt Disney style attraction that has been at the park since its inception. And maybe it's been covered up because it's been saved because it's over water, artificial water, but still water nonetheless. Not the backside of water. No, not that attraction. But the rivers of America might be in danger, and therefore Tom Sawyer Island might be in danger. Vash, tell us what in the world's going on.
Oh, man. Well, following that crazy shareholders meeting, and most importantly, though, that big old settlement that was... Yeah, exactly. Haircut. That settlement that was reached between the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District and Disney right there. We are now getting just overflowing with the amount of stuff that's actually happening right there. But, well, one thing that might not be overflowing for very long is the rivers of America, because it looks like Beyond Big Thunder just turned into Around Big Thunder. I'm going to go ahead and give the credit to Braden on that for coining that term, because there's a lot at stake here, folks, for sure. According to a report from Scott Gustin, Disney World is in the initial stages of land permitting for the Beyond Big Thunder expansion at Magic Kingdom. Disney will soon file permits with the South Florida Water Management District for initial land preparation work for the expansion, which will be the largest at Magic Kingdom to date. When it was officially announced back in 2022, Disney said that they were exploring concepts to introduce Coco, Encanto, and a Villains-themed area in the land space, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and the northern section of Rivers of America, the land beyond, that is. And so it appears to be, here's that report from Scott Gustin right here, that they are currently in the process of moving all kinds of infrastructure, not so dissimilar to what Disneyland actually encountered when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was added to the northern side of their Rivers of America. Had to move a lot of backstage stuff, a lot of warehouses, a lot of maintenance buildings, some performing studios, and so forth to make that operation a reality. In fact, they even moved the ranch. The horses are now on an off-site ranch and have to be trucked in every single day for their jaunt down Main Street daily. Go ahead, Jonas, you were saying?
Oh, no, I think that was Lou, actually.
All I was going to say was I wonder if they saved... when they drained the river at Disneyland to redo this, they put these two really awful photographic murals across the two sides of the river, either side of Tom Sawyer's Island, to block off the fact that, it wasn't there anymore while they worked on it. I wonder if they saved those or if they got faded in the LA sun, because...
they have been saving those, Lou. That's really interesting, because I think those printouts are really expensive and they're really big.
They sure are.
You never know when you're going to need them.
And of course, I think if they put up a banner, it's probably going to say something like Tom Sawyer's Foods or something like that. Coming soon. So the question that I think I see in some of the chat here, of course, is Tom Sawyer Island safe? If they're going to do work on Rivers of America, do you think that Tom Sawyer Island is going to survive any kind of expansion that they do here?
Well, apparently, initially we thought, okay, they're just going to go ahead and trim off the excess up top right there and just kind of round that bend all the way to the other side in a similar fashion that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was done at Disneyland. Oh, go ahead, Lou.
Well, but the other difference is, of course, that at Disneyland, the dock, the service area, if you will, where they park the Columbia when they're not using it, is basically where in this picture alongside a Big Thunder would be. But in this picture, if you zoom in on all those maintenance buildings over on the right, that's where they park the riverboat, is around the corner there. And so that would have to be totally moved. Over here on the right where this dock is, where that road is that you see, right about there, where you see this bridge, which is a drawbridgey thing. And they also, I don't know, of course, at Disneyland, they had to move all the places they put the Phantasmic floating objects too.
Right. They built an underground marina for that. But you make a very astute point here, Lou. I mean, to maintain these watercraft, and they're real water vessels right there. It's kind of funny because back in Disneyland, when the Mark Twain was being developed, they spent a lot of money on a dry dock because Admiral Joe Fowler was like, nope, if you're going to have a Mark Twain, you got to have a dry dock.
And the reason it cost so much money is there was a concrete strike going on while they were building Disneyland, and they basically had to buy bootleg concrete from somebody to get enough in there to build this dry dock. But Joe Fowler said, no. You got to have one because sooner or later you're going to want to take it out of the water.
Exactly. And that's located essentially in between where, Splash Mountain used to be, Tiana's Bay Adventure, and the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. And it's right there. And Walt lovingly called it Joe's Ditch because it was so expensive and he was already,
they officially named it Fowler's Harbor.
Right. That's it exactly.
And by the way, to show you the difference in how they themed things then versus now, when they were building the Columbia, both the Columbia and the Mark Twain had their hulls and their motors and everything below water done at Todd Shipyards in San Pedro Harbor in LA and trucked into the park. But when they were doing the above ground stuff, above deck stuff, the rigging and the sails, they had the workers dressed as that period sailors when they were up there so that it would look like real shipwrights building this thing as guests came through. They don't bother with that stuff anymore, do they?
They used to have sails on the Columbia as well, and the level of detail and attention to detail, just to get those specific.
I mean, it was there for months being worked on, and every day when you walk by, it was part of the show because they were dressed like sailors and shipwrights from that period.
Absolutely, and
not dungarees and painters' hats,
When it came time to figure out the waterways of Walt Disney World, obviously it's like, okay, well, we have a little bit more money, we have a little bit more space, let's go ahead and have those facilities be off site right there, so that way it doesn't impact the show, and it retains all of the available land around the river because it's so beautiful to look at. However, when you're talking about the logistics of, let's say, having this portion of Beyond Big Thunder meet up with either Fantasyland or Liberty Square, well, now those logistics become that much more difficult to overcome right there. So from what we are hearing, guys, it sounds like they might not be necessarily doing that at all. It sounds like we might be getting rid of all of Rivers of America entirely. To what extent we don't quite know whether or not they'll have the same kind of river look, to the front of Frontierland, to the front of Liberty Square.
This to me adds so much to the area. The idea of walking by water here in the park is something. When this entire area is constructed, I would compare it to animation because this was swamp before they started. So everything here is here intentionally. Some of it has obviously taken on a life of its own because these are mature trees and things like that are here. But every piece of this was designed with intention, and for them to get rid of it and lose that, for lack of a better term, organic feel of walking by the riverside on one side and Frontierland on the left side, and the tranquil sounds of the Frontierland.
Yeah, and even more than walking by, when you take the boat and you go around the back side, you feel like you're nowhere near Disney World or the city of Orlando or anywhere, like you're really in a river somewhere in America. I always used to love at Disneyland, before they put in Fantasmic, you used to be able to go to the station there where the Mark Twain pulls up and ask one of the ride folks, what time is the fireworks cruise tonight? Because it was slightly different. And that special time, which they never announced, when you got on the Twain, it went back there by the Indian Village and stopped. And they piped the music from Fantasy in the Sky through the Twain speakers, because the blast off point for the fireworks was just the other side of the Indian Village. And it was like being in the middle of the woods and suddenly the whole sky is full of fireworks. And it was so glorious and so wonderful. The only downside was if you got there a little early, if the boat was moving a little fast before the show, they didn't turn off the sound effects coming from the Indian models, which weren't as sophisticated as they are now. And for some reason, every time I took somebody, they agreed with me. The sound of the Indian chanting, it sounded like they were saying, go away, go away, go away, way, go away. And it was like, oh, well, sorry, we didn't want to intrude on your ceremony there, Tonto. But Anyway.
I'll also add, they say they've got enough land for 7 new lands at Walt Disney World, but instead they would rather get rid of Rivers of America, something that actually has personality. By the way, that's going to detract from so many areas here. This will detract from Liberty Square. This will detract from Frontierland, and this will detract from whatever this New Orleans themed area that they're talking about.
Because they're shrinking Frontierland like crazy by turning Pecos Bills into Tianas and making it all New Orleans-y rather than, remember, at Disneyland you get both. You get the fort entrance to Frontierland and all of the Frontierland stuff, plus you get the Mexican restaurant where Doritos were invented, plus you get Big Thunder, plus you now get Tiana, but what used to be Splash Mountain, and then beyond that was Critter Country, where the Pooh is now, and where Country Bears used to be.
Yep.
Hungry Bear's still there, and it's honestly, when they adjusted all of this for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the kind of rock work that they put in there, the waterfalls and so forth, like, it's a shorter river, but
they had a sense of humor about it. The train passes over a trestle as part of the kind of separating berm between the river and Galaxy's Edge. But at the base of the trestle, you can see animatronic beavers chewing up the wooden supports to the bridge like it's going to fall down.
Yeah, they don't do this.
That's right, Nolan. Dorito invented at Disneyland.
I love this story. Please tell it. Yes.
It's like, well, we've got all these leftover tortillas. What do? I know, we deep fry them and we put salt on them. And Frito-Lay ran that restaurant. In fact, they used to have a character long before the Frito Bandito and the others named Klondike. And it was this guy who was a miner, and they had this wonderful vending machine. Oh, there's the beavers chewing on the bridge supports now. But they had this wonderful vending machine. I remember as a kid, you'd put a nickel in and you'd hear, "Hey, Klondike, send down some more of those golden Frito corn chips." And this mine had a wooden or a metal chute, and it would drop you a bag of chips at the Casa de Fritos restaurant. Those were the days.
I love the idea that Doritos are technically Disney magic on some level. That's one of those things. By the way, when we're doing TPP Live, we're generally rushing because we know that we want to get done by a certain time because there are other people that want our time slot after us. I mean, obviously, there's more than one channel that we exist around.
There it is. There it
is usually over there on the Mr. H Reviews. Mr. H Reviews channel for the HCast. So we're trying to get done. So these are the kind of little diversions that we can take when we're doing extra magic hours. When we do them in the morning, I think we're going to call them rope drop because,
And by the way, we ran by something kind of important at the beginning of this when they talked about, well, now that we've made the deal regarding the lawsuits, we're free to do this. Why? Because now they can apply for building permits from SIFTOD, which they couldn't do before because they weren't recognizing their existence. So remember that all of that infrastructure, all of the regulatory stuff and the OSHA stuff and the stuff that guy that got hired to be the head of their compliance enforcement, which they never had before, revealed didn't exist, now exists. And so they have to build like grown-ups, like Universal and SeaWorld and everybody else in the universe, and actually get permits to do this stuff.
That highlight was from our live stream on That Park Place, where you can find all of our live streams as an exclusive benefit for members, so be sure to become one today. But what do you think about all this? Do you think Walt Disney World should get rid of Rivers of America as part of a bygone era? Or should they retain a vestige from its legendary and iconic past for future generations to enjoy? Please let us know in the comments below. Be sure to share this video if you like this video, and subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts online. Please comment, like, and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts Online, your source for exclusive content and highlights from WDW Pro, The Pro Show, and That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.